Hey, Tony Gas is here, popping in for a quick video. Hey, T. Shut my door for me. Popping in for a quick video. Now, I want to answer this question because this is a very, very popular question. How to know your relationship is over. Now, this, of course, every relationship is different, and that ought to be common sense. It's mind-boggling to me whenever somebody is speaking on something and people in the comments say, you don't speak for everybody. And it's like, duh, who does? No one. It's just always mind-boggling to me. And when people say, oh, that goes both ways, it's like, duh, maybe it does. So beyond the obvious, I want you to understand how you can easily know your relationship is over. But here's the thing. There are caveats and nuances. So sometimes a relationship is over for a season and then it comes back. And that probably is another video in itself of how to know when you should give it another shot, because it might be the second try or it could be the third try. But the number one biggest sign, and yes, I hope you watch the whole video, but you don't really have to if you get this here, is when somebody in the relationship is unwilling to try. That right there is a key sign that the relationship is over. And here's what I mean by that, because it sounds like common sense, but a lot of people don't know what it means. What I mean is when you want to go and hire a relationship coach for your relationship and your partner refuses to get coaching or counseling, the relationship is over. When you want to read a certain book that you have heard is great in helping relationships and your partner does not want to read said book, the relationship is over. When somebody throws in the towel and they are no longer willing to do the work, the relationship is over. Because I'll be honest with you, my watch saying my stress level high. Stress ain't high. Must be breathing shallow. When somebody no longer wants to do the work, that's when you really have an issue. Because here's the thing. You got to get to the place to where you are fully committed in the relationship and you're willing to change. You're willing to, when you express to your partner what you need from them and they make those changes immediately, you still got life in the lungs of your relationship. And the same the other way around. If you don't want to go to counseling or coaching, oh, I don't want nobody in our business. Oh, them people don't know what they're talking about. Oh, them people got holes in their socks. They just as guilty. Their relationships be just as bad. Oh, this and all that. If you are that person, then you are sabotaging the relationship. And because of you, the relationship is over. A relationship is work. A relationship is like a job. And what I mean by that, it's like a job you cannot retire from. So you have to wake up every day, get your hard hat, get your lunch pail, and you got to go to work. And you have to be willing to work. I'm going on March 30th will make 16 years of marriage. March 30th makes 16 years of marriage, and we still working. We still have disagreements. We still have bad days. We still catch little attitudes, get in our feelings about something that is meaningless, and still have to work through that and talk through that. Whoever make a relationship look easy, make it look like it's perfect, they lying to you. It could be perfect if you call it perfect, but that don't mean you're not having disagreements. And some people are having arguments. I don't label it an argument. I label it a disagreement because I don't like to confess and claim arguing. But this is very real. So you have to be able to realize that, and that just brings it right on up, right down to it. When somebody say, well, how do I know if I should leave? Well, if the things you're trying to enact, your partner is vetoing it, and they're saying, no, I'm not doing that. No, I'm not reading that book. No, I'm not going to counseling. No, I'm not doing coaching. No, I'm not going to that retreat. No, I'm not going to that seminar. No, I'm not taking a break. No, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. Relationship over. And at that point right there, you could sum it up and you could move on with your life. And what you have to realize, though, this is what I want you to understand, is sometimes people will push you all the way. They'll push you all the way to the edge just to see what you're going to do. And sometimes a person will make you leave because they wanted to see how far you would go. They wanted to see what your breaking point is. Now, some people take that gamble and they lose. Some people push somebody to an edge and the person never comes back. They jump off that cliff and find their wings. And they fly on, going about their business and never come back. Or they got a parachute. And you never see them again. But in most cases, when you get pushed to the edge, we come back. Because of those emotional ties that we have, the familiarity, because we're afraid to start all over, get to know somebody all over again, and then the same thing can happen or worse. We go back to what's familiar, and we say, I'm comfortable here. I know this person. We can figure out how to make this thing work. And I'll be honest with you. Almost any and every relationship can work because love is not found. Love is created. And two humans were created to create and cultivate love. You don't have to go on a search for love until you find the right person. You can create love with the person you choose to be with, because love is a verb. It's what you do. Love is the work that you're willing to put in, not the words that you're willing to say, but the work that you're willing to put in. So if you are with someone and you're willing to be kind, you're willing to be selfless, you're willing to be loving, you're willing to sacrifice your ego and your pride in order to cultivate and build love on selflessness, but with reciprocation, then the two of you can create love. And that's what we have to realize. So a lot of times we say, oh, the relationship is over because I'm Democrat and they're Republican. I'm Republican, they're Democrat. No, the relationship is over because they won't eat fried rice and I love fried rice. The relationship is over because they don't like classical music and I like classical music. The relationship over because I'm an entrepreneur and they want to work a 9 to 5. We give up on love for reasons that are meaningless. And here's the thing. I heard it asked, people was talking about women and they were saying, does a man want a woman who cooks and cleans or gives good little favor? Little nasty favor. You know what I'm talking about. And as I heard that, I said neither. I want a woman who's going to be honest, loyal, and trustworthy. Because that's what you build on. You build on honesty, loyalty, integrity, character. You build on intangibles. See, what a woman do with her mouth, that's tangible. That's tangible. That could be learned. Practice make perfect. Practice make habit. We'll say that. That could be learned. Cooking, cleaning, that could be learned. All that, none of that right there matters. What matters is the person you're with, the man or woman you're with, are they honest? Are they loyal? Are they trustworthy? I heard it said, and I believe it was Brian Tracy that said, if there is no trust, there is no relationship. When all trust is gone, when all trust is out the window, the relationship over. That's another sign that the relationship is over. Not when you choose not to trust, but when the person can't be trusted. Meaning when you keep finding thing after thing after thing after thing to the point that it's jumping out, to the point that it's messy, to the point that it feels a snake at a bitch in the nose, to the point that it's slapping you in the face. When it gets to that point, the relationship is over. When there is no trust, there is no relationship. Another sign that a relationship is over is when there is no respect. If there is no respect, there is no relationship. And so what I mean by this is when you are with somebody and they are calling you out of your name, they're talking to you like you are the scum of the earth. They're treating you like you are the scum of the earth. They're hurting you like you hurt them, meaning as if you hurt them if you didn't. Now, if you did, then that's retaliation. But if that retaliation turns into no respect, and here's one thing for me, like as a man, I'm kind of like this. If my woman is disrespecting me in public, like in private, she could say certain things in a certain way, and it may be snappy or snarky, but it's private and I understand her personality if that's what she's doing. I'm hypothetically speaking. But now if we in public and she calling me out my name, you're so stupid. I seen that it was a video of a gender reveal, and I think they played a trick on the lady, and she started calling her man, her baby daddy, which could have been her husband, I don't know. You see, I told you he's stupid. I told you he's stupid. I was like, wow, that is crazy. Like, she literally in front of all her friends and family, and she was like, I told you so. So it's like she talking to somebody, like she talking to the people at the baby shower that she has told that this man is stupid. Relationship over. Relationship over. If there is no trust, there is no relationship. If there is no respect, there is no relationship. If there is no work, there is no relationship. They don't have to go in order. It could be any of those three. It could be all of those three. And then, of course, we have the obvious things. The obvious things that ends a relationship. And you know what I'm talking about when it's physical, emotional, or verbal, the A word. Any of that right there, and that the relationship is over. Especially if the person doesn't want to work. Now, it's certain things in there. A person may be verbally and it hurt your feelings. But if they're going to go to counseling, deal with their childhood trauma, go to relationship coaching, learn how to communicate in a relationship or in counseling, and then they're going to change that behavior, and you love them enough to forgive them and not let it hang over their head, not hang it over their head and let it just rain on their head every day for the rest of the time y'all together. If you could forgive, the relationship could last. Now, see, here's the thing. And a lot of people don't understand this because it has been said, and I think I said this on an interview, that sometimes the verbal can be worse than the physical. And this always gets misconstrued. So let's get the understanding and not just argue for the sake of arguing. Okay? The verbal is not good. And it can lead to you coming to a place to where you feel like ending it all. The verbal can also lead you to a place where you want to do something to that person. So the verbal is very dangerous, and that has to be understood. But the reason why I say the physical is worse is because the verbal, you have a buildup. And with the verbal, you have a runway. Meaning you get time. The first time somebody curses you out, you're not going to feel like ending it all. You've seen worse, you've heard worse, you've experienced worse. The first time, and probably not the 100th time, because we have been conditioned in society, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. We've also been told it's only your name if you answer to it when they call you. We've been told in the same sense, you don't have to answer to something that is not you, that doesn't apply to you. So we've also been told that what you hear, you don't have to accept. You can refute it. We've also been told to invert negative self-talk, negative thinking. So we've been given a lot of tools on how to deal with verbal. The verbal is certain words you can't really say on here, so y'all understand what I'm talking about. You got to use inference. So you have a runway. Because no matter how something sounds, no matter how bad it is, the words do not, the words can't make you stop breathing. But the reason why I say the physical is because it only takes one. It only takes one. It takes one time. You got to understand this. One from a man, and sometimes even a woman, this right here to right there, lights out. Finito. Now they could come right here in your ear and call you every name in the book. They could call you everything but a child of God. And guess what? Your heart will still be beating. Tears may be flowing, but there is breath in your body. But when somebody go to putting their hands on you, listen, you got to go. You got to go. When you, and this is what I mean, with intent to do harm. I'm not talking about you going irate and you yelling, screaming, and cussing, and they bear hug you to stop you from what you about to do to them. I ain't talking about that. Some people get out of hand. And I done seen it a lot of times, especially with women. I'll see women hit me, and provoking and antagonizing, all in the man. And then the man might do something like this right here, or do something like this right here, or go to, protect himself. And in that, there's some contact, and then the woman just, you hit me. I can't believe you. You ain't no man. You less than a man. And then she bring that windmill out on him. And I done seen this with my very own eyes. And that's not what I'm talking about. When you done win at somebody, and now you put them in a place of self-defense. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when somebody come at you and they have intent to do bodily, you know what I mean. It's over with. You cannot, and see, this is the thing now. Yes. There have been relationships that has happened, and they've worked out. It lasted. Somebody listening to this it's gotten physical, and got slapped or hit and black, and they worked through it. Yeah, there's always exceptions to most rules. We don't base our life on exceptions though. Because what happened for them, their grace may not be your grace. So the one that next lick could end it all for you. And not even just like taking your oxygen, I ain't even just talking about that, but could end it all in a sense to where they do something and you do something in retaliation, and that turns out bad, and now you on a second degree, and you got to go sit down up the road behind them bars because of this second degree or whatever term they put on it. You see what I mean? You cannot. So when I say this, I'm not saying that verbal is admissible. I'm not saying that verbal is okay. I'm saying that if y'all want to go learn, when it's verbal, if you want to go learn how to communicate and you learn how to heal, and you heal from that childhood trauma, and you learn how to talk to each other in a relationship, you can work that out. You can work it out if there's been infidelity. Now, yes, people who've never been in a situation, who've never been in a real relationship, like a serious relationship, committed relationship, and had to deal with infidelity of some sort. Sometimes infidelity is emotional. Sometimes infidelity is physical. And maybe a couple other types of infidelity. But when you actually have to go through it, then you put it in perspective and you look at things holistically, and that action which hurt you but was not directly like physically against you, it was outside of you and with somebody else, whether it's emotional or physical, that action, if the two of you, if the person who was hurt can forgive, and the person who was the offender can go and commit to growth, commit to change, and do the work, then yes, there is a possibility of it working. And like I said, there has been physical and relationships have worked, but you cannot base your relationship on that. You got to look at who you got. Because see, sometimes stuff will go there and it'll get to that point where it's physical, and then the person who it was against will say, we need to go get counseling, and the other person is just crying, no, I'm so sorry, no, we don't need counseling, I don't want to do counseling. If I do counseling and we say that, they may have a duty to tell the police, and that's going to ruin my life, it's going to ruin my career, because what if they say something? No, Playboy, we got to go sit down. No, we got to go sit down. We got to go talk this one out. We'll talk to somebody. We'll go to a relationship coach where they don't have a duty to tell by law. I don't know if a therapist does or not, but probably not, because you're grown. You're not a minor. And so listen to me. It's been times where that has happened and somebody proposed that and the person said no. So now what does that go back into? That ties back into, on top of it getting to this point physically, you also have someone who doesn't want to do the work. Now it's all the way bad. It's all the way bad at this point. So guess what? It's over. It's over. The fourth sign, now we put them other ones in there with the physical. That was like a bonus. The fourth sign that it is over is when you have tried and tried again. When you've tried multiple times and the same thing or different things that's on the same level keep happening, the relationship is over. Because this is what you have to understand about adults. What you must understand about adults is that we are fast learners. It's not that hard for an adult to hear what you need from him or her, and then to give you what you need from him or her. When you're dealing with an adult and they keep doing the same thing over and over again and they're not changing, that's when you have an issue. You got a real problem then. When they keep doing the same thing over and over again, you got a real problem. Now we got to get some straightening, because then gave you another chance, did it again. Then gave you another chance, you did it again. It come a point in time to where you got to be willing to walk away. You got to be willing to walk away, because what does this tie back into? a lack of respect. Because if somebody cheats on you and you decide to make the decision, everybody calling you crazy, and you make the decision to give them another chance, and then they cheat on you again, they don't respect you. Because they have a choice. They could choose not to cheat. They could choose not to raise their hand. They could choose not to disrespect you. They can choose. They have a choice. And they're choosing to break these laws inside of this relationship. They choosing to do you like this. So guess what? Relationship over with. Relationship over. Now, of course, as I said, there are exceptions to the rule. Like somebody does something that typically would be the end of a relationship, and then you find a way and you work it out. That right there, what you have to understand, in every category, there are certain offenses, like there's levels to it. So, for example, cheating. If your partner is texting someone from work and it's a little flirtatious, can't wait to see you at work tomorrow. Haha, me too. Can't wait to see you. Best bud. And it's just flirtatious. They getting out of hand. And you happen to see that text. You go to get their phone for whatever reason, or you just blatantly snooping. And you happen to see that text. Okay. It's levels to it. Now, you go to check that phone, which there should be privacy when you're not married. When you're married, you won. There is, yes, you could have boundaries and privacy that the two of you agree on, but when you're married, you won. It's like you swapping all kind of spit, you having kids together or raising kids together if you adopted or what have you, but you won. Now, if you find out that your partner done slept with somebody, then slept with somebody, it depends on how you view that and what level y'all on. And even with that, it's levels to it. And this where we have to be understanding, because, and this really where I want, like, people who have not been in a long-term committed relationship and gone through things, just sit this one out, please. Just sit this one out in the comment, because sometimes people who haven't gone through, oh no, never ever, I don't care what kind of cheating it was. Tony, I cannot believe you are condoning cheating. I'm not condoning cheating. I'm telling you the reality of what you're going to face if that happens in your relationship and you've been with this person for 5 years, 10 years. If you got 1, 2, 3, 4 kids, if you got anything, if you got a house together, if you got an apartment, condo together, if you got a business together, a child together, you got anything together, and this right here happens, it's a whole lot harder. I'm telling you, I coach couples every day, all day long. It's a whole lot harder to just up and leave, because your brain is wired to self-soothe. Your brain is wired to heal. Your brain is wired to forgive. It's wired to survive. So if it just keep releasing toxins into the body, that's breaking it down, it also is going to be seeking some form of peace, healing, a better release. And so here's the thing, what I mean by its levels to it is, if your partner goes out of town and they sleep with just a one-nighter, had too much to drink, bumped into somebody at the company dance after the company meetings was over, went back to the hotel room with him or her, wham bam thank you ma'am, or wham bam thank you sir, whichever route they went, and you happen to find out about that, and that was like they picked up a straggler, or they paid somebody, might have broke a little bread, bam, here go $500, do something strange for a little piece of change. Let's say you find out about that. Are you going to see that the same as them sleeping with your best friend, or them sleeping with your sister or your brother, your family member? Do you see your partner paying a worker, a set worker, for something the same as you see them building a relationship with somebody? Now, both of them wrong now. Both of them wrong. And me personally, I'm gone. I'm going on the least of the. I'm going on the least of the two. I'm gone. But I'm being realistic because not everybody move like that. Not everybody is like that. Some people are like. That's why I say no two relationships are the same, because this woman over here could come from a religion or from a region where men are allowed to have multiple wives. And then she comes into this culture or this religion where a man is supposed to have one woman, and he takes and he cheats on her with a straggler. She may look at it totally different, because she may say, well, what he did is nearby legal where I'm from or what I come from. That's why I say we can't just paint all relationships with a broad brush, because there are caveats and nuances to this. And that's why you have to look at and you have to identify your levels. Your levels. Because as a man, if I have a woman, and I'm married now, because I know it's a lot of single relationship coaches out here, and so we not the same. Now, if I catch my woman and my woman is having a conversation with a guy, and because of my insecurity and me flying off the handle, and I done created this space to where even something that's platonic and chill and cool, she know I ain't gonna be with it. If I catch something like that right there, I can evaluate the space that I've created. I can evaluate who I've been, and then I can evaluate what happened. Now, if my woman, my partner, my wife, my girlfriend, my fiance gives her body to another man. Now, I'll be honest with you. If I'm deep in and I find out about a kiss, I might can forgive that. If I done created an environment to where I practically push her away, but she couldn't leave, or she was getting ready to leave but then had the courage. Because a lot of times people say, oh, well, it's no excuse, they should just left, they should just left. It's not that black and white. It's not that black and white. There is such a thing as a gray area and stuff, and just upping and leaving is not always that easy. It's never that easy. It's never that easy for no relationship. And you'll learn this when you become a relationship coach and you start working in thousands of relationships. Then you start to learn the caveats and nuances and how there are gray areas. And so it might be a kiss. Bop, boom. It happened. I created this space. I made my girlfriend or fiance or wife feel like she wasn't beautiful, and I was hurtful to her, and maybe I cheated on her or did something, and then boom, that happened. Ex came back, or somebody, somebody she met, she was standing talking to him, they was at the club or what have you, he leaned in, boom, laid one on her. Okay, I might even forgive that. But now if she opened her mouth and have something inserted in there, or she opened her leg and have any kind of thing, anything inserted in there, any kind of, what we would call that, some form of that, got to go. It's a wrap. Got to go. Oh, well, Tony, men do that all the time, and women stay. Okay, that's your choice. That's your choice. Everybody get to choose now. If you choose to deal with that, that's on you. I ain't even gonna judge it, because I don't know how much y'all have invested into that relationship and how y'all moving behind closed doors. I don't know what you done did. So if you choose to stay, go right ahead. God bless you. I got to go. I got to go. I'm gone. It's a wrap. Hasta la vista, baby. It's over with. I'm gone. Point blank period. And so I say that to say, you have to sit down and you got to identify your deal breakers. So that if it happens, and God forbid it does, so that if it happens, you already know where you stand. Unless you look within, or you look into the situation and you see the caveats and nuances and you say, you know what? And this one thing people don't like to hear, but I realize I got to speak the truth regardless. I got to speak my truth. It may not be your truth, but what I mean by this is sometimes you'll look within and you'll see something and you say, okay, I helped create this. Like, I was a part of the problem here. I was part of the problem and why this happened. So let me be honest about that. Let me own up to that. Now here's on the flip side of that. When you've created a safe space, when you've been nothing short of amazing, when you've sacrificed being selfless, being loving, caring, kind, giving, forgiving, compassionate, understanding, patient, temperate, you've been amazing, and you get did wrong, no respect, no trust, or no faithfulness, no loyalty, whatever it is, any one of them areas, that's when you ought to leave immediately. When you've given someone the world, meaning just your whole heart, and you've made it beautiful and amazing for them, and they take that for granted and they disrespect you after you've been absolutely amazing, got to go. Got to go. And Lord willing, we'll do another video on if they come back. I already have it out there, but I'll update it, do another one just so that it's updated. But you need to know what your deal breakers are. And you got to remember too, now when I'm doing these videos, I'm doing this off the top of my head and from the bottom of my heart. From the bottom of my heart and the top of my head, just flowing like this right here. So I don't have this written down. So I'm not reading off a note. So understand, I may leave something out. I may misspeak. I'm not reading off a teleprompter. This is coming straight from the heart, because I want it to be raw, and I want it to be real, and I want it to be relatable, and I want you to understand, like, if I'm remembering this just off the top of my head and it's coming, this lets you know these are the most important things. Yes, there may be little subcategories and other little things where that, yes, that could mean the relationship is over, but that's up for you to add those things to this list and to identify what that looks like and what that means for you, so that if it happens, God forbids, but if it happens, you can move on with your life. And so for me as a man, and as people love to say, oh, that goes both ways, it could go both ways. But for me as a man, I require respect, meaning don't yell at me, don't curse me out, don't call me out my name, don't try to make me look stupid in front of anybody, don't try to make me look less than, don't try to grandstand and disrespect me in front of anybody. And not even in private, but when it's in private, it's different, because it could be said a certain way or it could be in jest. But sometimes even when you're joking in front of other people, your good is evil spoken of because of how you did it and the interpretation of it. So I don't play that. I don't play that. And when I expressed that before on a video, women was mad at me saying that, and how I let my wife know, listen, don't ever in life try me like that. I don't play that, but that's just how I move. And I'm gonna be honest with you, that's how I recommend you be in your relationship. Be straight up, be real on what you will and won't tolerate. Point blank period. And that's what I need from my woman, what you will and won't tolerate. And deep down we already know, but sometimes as humans we'll get beside ourselves. So for me, I don't deal with disrespect, disloyalty, or untrustworthiness. Now, if some pop off and I can look and see where I was a horrible person and I played a role in that, then I'm gonna own up to that, because there's certain situations. It's kind of like this right here. It's kind of like, let's say somebody living in a house and they living with their parent or guardian or whoever, and they're hungry, they starving at dinner, but they're giving like a 3-year-old serving, and they like 16. If that person go to getting out their bed at night and sneaking down to the kitchen and taking additional food, what their parent or guardian may consider stealing food, we can justify that theft because of the environment that was created. The same thing is true for relationships, because that's a relationship. And even the Bible says that we ought not judge a man who steal because he hungry. Not steal because he greedy. Not steal because he evil, but somebody who steal because he is hungry. That we ought to understand that. Like, that's just what a human is going to do. And so listen to me. The same thing happens in a relationship, is that we can back our partner into a corner to where they end up making a decision that is irrational, making a decision from their insecurity, from their brokenness, from their weakness. And then people could say, oh, well, no, they should have left, but not understanding that leaving has consequences and implications and repercussions and circumstance and situation. Like, a person may be in a situation to where they cannot leave financially, socially, morally, religiously. They may feel trapped by their family. Like, it's situations where a person just cannot just up and leave. Yes, they can make an exit strategy and leave at some point, but in some cases it feels impossible. And that person then can be, from being suffocated, they can open their mouth somewhere else above water, grasping for air. And that mouth open could be getting kissed in the lips by somebody who sees their beauty and who working with them every day, or who at school with them every day, or who's around them, and that other person just being forward and assertive and aggressive, just shoot they shot. And your person could have just been standing there talking to them and still being reserved and not cheating or trying to be disrespectful, but that situation was able to happen. And so we do have to be honest about that. You cannot like start a fire and then expect someone to just sit in it and get burned up, or just sitting there inhaling flames and smoke. So you can't do something, and then when somebody does something, acting out or retaliating or out of desperation or weakness or insecurity, now you're shocked and appalled, and you push them to that point. You help push them to that point. Provocation is a real thing, and we got to be honest about that. But now when it's none of that, and these things go to happening, or these things happen, and you say this relationship is done for, go on about your business. Go on about your business. And then if you decide to give it another shot, you need to put some stipulations in place, some non-negotiables, some things, some steps that have to be done, that have to be checked off in order for you to move forward. And a lot of times people come back and they say, oh, I'm changed. I'm going to do right. I'm going to do right. And the person in their right mind says, okay, well, you need to do counseling or coaching. And then the person said, no, I don't want to do that. I don't need to do that. That doesn't even work. It doesn't even help me. And then the person want a relationship so bad, the other person, they say, okay, well, all right. You're right. Your personality type is different. you know what, you right. We did catch Pastor cheating, and so it don't even make sense for me to send you to him because he cheating on his wife. So what he gonna tell you about cheating on me? And then they ignore the stipulations. And then sure enough, the person come back. And by 6 months to a year in, boom, right back going through the same thing. So if you have to walk away and you say the relationship is done, it need to look like it's done. It need to feel like it's done. And your partner need to believe that it's done in order for them to come back with the right heart and the right mindset. And when they come back, whatever stipulations that you feel are honest and fair, you put that down and you do not compromise on that. If they need to come have sessions with a counselor or a coach, and if you feel like 12 sessions straight, week after week after week is what's needed because of the severity of what they did, you can't compromise that. And then, yeah, then they could go to bi-weekly for another, couple months. Then they could go to once a month. Like, you set that treatment, that healing, that repairment plan in place, and you stick to that. So, hey, this Tony Gasson. If you see this tonight, tomorrow we have a call for the growth group, the growth club. I can't remember which one I called it. I'm going to put the link in the description for it. It's group coaching, real topics, not just love and relationships. We dealing with life. We dealing with business, self-development, joy, happiness, prosperity, peace, dealing with toxic family, dealing with toxic friends, dealing with a toxic workplace. We're going to touch on everything eventually. And so this going from this month, February, all the way through the end of the year. And then next year, I decide if I'm going to keep it going. And if so, I'll create a new enrollment and get you back in there. But I'll be teaching. We'll have other coaches teaching bonus sessions and things of that nature. So join us if it's affordable. Coaching sessions are hundreds of dollars an hour. These going to be 2-hour sessions. And you're just paying $47 a month. So it's the best I could do. Had to put some price on it so that it's not super overloaded and it's not a million people on there. But I look forward to working with you and have you in the growth club. It's Tony Gasson. God bless you. I'm signing out. We'll talk soon.